Here I'm fishing in a place near Tampa called Cockroach Bay. I'm using a topwater bait called a Mira mullet. It's actually one of my favorite topwater baits, especially for the walk the dog scenario and the flat calm like this. It's got a black back and an orange body, or at least this pattern does, and it's worked out very, very well for me. You just basically cast it and just jig the rod tip as you're reeling in, and it walks the dog. Calling it like that is really, really hard to do, but I've got it on this case.
That's probably the best fighting trout I've ever heard of. Alright.
The weather was nice and calm, a nice overcast day. Makes really good topwater scenarios. I like to usually cast it a lot when I'm fishing in a new area. You just never really know what's around, and a lot of fish like topwaters. So if you have them, it's calm like this, the fish are more comfortable, not really as spooky. I mean, hey, toss it out there, see what happens. Could work, could not work. When it's shallow like this though, it definitely helps to keep it up off the bottom. When you come across flats like this, seeing where the channels are, usually it's a little bit deeper water, a little bit more of a drop off. There's where you can usually find the fish. Especially once it gets hotter, the bigger fish are going to move down towards the deeper, cooler water. Now if it's cooler, you can find them all over on the flats usually. But if you can find a channel, it doesn't hurt to take a chance, either bring a topwater over it or just put a paddletail bait and just swing it through the deeper channel. If there's fish down there and they're hungry, more than likely one of those tactics will work. I'm also only using 20-pound test leader. Some people may say it's a little too light. I say it's just right. Most fish, it works for most of them. I have lost a couple bigger fish just because I had 20-pound test, but it doesn't always happen. And then if you get too thick of line, the fish become line shy. One reason I really enjoy standing in my kayak is because you can see different fish and different things in the water, like that stingray just now. You can see sharks a little bit further off, manatees, rays. Pretty much anything that's out there just kind of swimming around. It kind of gives you a little bit of ability to see them before they get close, or kind of see them up close as well. And it definitely helps when looking for fish, as long as you don't spook them.
Come on. Is that a catfish? Oh my gosh. That's actually amazing. Alright, Osprey, can you handle a cat? There, pull me out of the channel or do something productive other than scare everything away.
I'm not really the biggest fan of catfish. A buddy of mine got stuck by one and he still has a scar. But they do put up pretty good fights. Can't really argue with that. I was just kind of amazed to have one on the Mira mullet. They don't normally bite topwaters, at least not anything I've noticed, but this guy,
Which they do.
he was aggressive. You always got to be careful when handling them, so I actually like to lip them like a snook would. You just kind of grab it by the mouth, hold it right there like I did, and it seems to work out pretty well. They can't really get away. You're just holding them there in place, and it allows you the ability to get the hook out a bit easier. And it also kind of prevents you having to get slime over everything that you have, because that's what catfish love to do, is just leave slime everywhere. If you come across weedy areas like this, they say it's usually better to have a weedless bait on. I don't really ever do it just because I tie most of my own flies and I haven't really mastered putting a weed guard on there. But if you buy them pre-made, or if you know how to do it, or maybe I just need to practice it more, it comes in handy. It just keeps the bait a bit clearer. Now where I was casting over here, there really wasn't anything but mullet, even mullet tailing, because mullet are a pain in the butt, and they always look like other fish that you want to catch, but they very rarely ever bite. It's one of those once in a blue moon sort of deals. But they always seem to get me and make me think there's something else anyway. The fly I'm using is a Schminnow. You'll probably hear me bring up that one and the Tantalizer, or the Jones Tantalizer, up quite often. They're just two really good flies that seem to work out really well. The Schminnow just has marabou tail and Estaz wrapped around the hook shank, and it just looks like pretty much bait fish. And yeah, in this case, I trout set a trout, which you don't normally get to do down here. Normally if you trout set something in salt water, usually gets away. But it worked on this trout.
You, my unlucky friend. No.
At this moment, I should have realized that netting this fish was a bad idea, but it wasn't until the fish was actually in the net that I realized this was a very bad idea. For those of you who don't know what I mean by that, the lure I'm using has 6 hooks on it, so now that's 6 different hooks that have the possibility of getting into the net. And basically it makes the bait useless because it's stuck in a net. And there's not a whole lot you can do about it on the moment, unless you really want to sit there and work with it, which you can do. But in this case, I decided just to cut it, kind of save myself and worry about that later on. So I ended up taking it out later when I got back, and everything else was cleaned. I decided to switch back to using a fly rod. I figured if there were fish around, maybe I could get a nice big trout to bite on the fly. It didn't happen, but it was a nice thought. And that's what I call a quick release trout. In and out. Simple as that. The water got a little deeper near this sign over here, so I wasn't sure what was going to be there. Again, obviously hoping for bigger fish, but when you're on the flats like this, if you're lucky enough, you can find where trout are, but usually trout also swim with ladyfish. You usually can find them at least inhabiting the same areas. Sometimes there's redfish or snook or Just kind of depends where you are. You can find a lot of different fish in the one kind of area. So it's good to throw a couple different baits. That's why I always have a few different rods. Because, you know, if you have one on the top water, making some kind of disturbance, drawing some fish in, then you have one kind of intermediate, which is, you know, hitting little different water tables, just depending on like the water depths, just depending on how fast you're reeling it or what you're doing with it. And then it's good to kind of have one that goes closer to the bottom. There are some fish that just like to hit different baits close to the bottom. They don't really care about going and busting on the top. So, you know, between the two other rods that I have and the fly rod, I usually cover all different aspects of the water column. And hopefully one of them, you know, produces fish.
Chill. Some away.
When in doubt or wanting to switch it up, go back to the top water. You can't really beat having that top water bite anywhere you go. Since my other top water was stuck in the net, I actually put on one of my other ones. There's lots of different lures that do the walk the dog action, which is just the back and forth. And this one actually has a lot of noise that it makes, and for being a cheap Walmart lure, it's caught me a lot of good fish. The combo in my hand, the reel is an Osprey 4000. It's a Florida Fishing Products. Kind of a newer company, but starting to get their name out there and holds up against a lot of good fish. Wanted a little bit bigger reel, and there was a good deal going on, so I got that and then later on matched it with the Star Rod. It's got a nice sturdy action to it, so I could handle a little bit bigger fish, but it's a little too heavy to throw necessarily top waters or just jigging baits all day. So I have my lighter action rod, which is a Penn Conflict 2 and a Crowder rod. Very light and very effective, but also strong enough to hold up against the bigger. At the end of the day, I went home with 4 keeper trout, filleted them up, had a nice meal. If you haven't had trout, I do highly recommend them, as long as obviously they're legal. Really good eating, taste really, really good, and a little slimy, but once you get past that, it's not too bad, and that's just the skin on the outside. Well, this is just the second of many videos I have. They kind of range anywhere from saltwater, offshore like you saw with the mahi, or inshore, so to speak, fishing like this one, and freshwater as well, fly, spinner. It just kind of depends what I'm doing. I got a whole compilation of videos, and figured, hey, turn it into a YouTube channel, see how people like it, and go from there. Stringer works pretty well when you're in a kayak if you don't have a cooler. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This is Last Cast Adventures, and feel free to subscribe and like it, and you know, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll try to fill them up with some tips and things so you guys know how to catch fish. Alright, until next time.